Hey! 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 Welcome to another episode of Geekly Reveal. It's that show that brings you geeky news on a weekly basis. That's why we call it Geekly. It's geeky and weekly. It's awesome. It's great. Terrific. Happy Pride Month. Defend our trans family. And it's me, Dom, aka Brother Dom all over the internet. I'm going to flub the intro, but that doesn't matter because I have two great co-hosts who always got my back. Would you like to tell the people who it is that you are as of right now and always?
As of right now and always, I am Stephanie, aka Captain Steph on Twitter, the Snow Queer on Tumblr, Steph on my Animal Crossing island, and Hello Steph on Instagram. And we are joined yet again by the guy who refuses to admit that he's now a co-host.
I'm here as a guest, but I am now known as Gronk the Annihilator. That is who I currently am.
Well, not bad, not bad.
Thanks. It's
Hey,
me.
Gronk.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for me, Gronk the Annihilator?
Wasn't Gronk? No, it was Kronk that was the third member of the Justice Friends on Dexter.
I don't know. I'm only Gronk.
Is the Annihilator your last name?
That's my middle name.
Okay, what's your last name? I'm gonna dox
Jeeves.
you on this podcast. Kronk the Annihilator Jeeves.
Yeah, it's like Sonic the Hedgehog, gotta go fast. It's all one word, like a Tribe Called Quest. You gotta say it together.
Exactly. But no, yes. I am Eric. I am sorry for the introduction.
Hey, I
You
had all
wouldn't have
time.
it any other way.
I had all the time in the world to perfect mine, and I still messed it up. Because the only way to wait till the last minute is to wait till you're actually saying it. But yeah, we're back with another episode of pop culture, goodness, and discussion. We're here to chit chat. But before we get started, to the two of you, how are you doing on this fine weekend?
Steph gave me pink eye.
I did not give you pink eye. You gave yourself pink eye if you have pink eye. You can't. I have pink eye, but I can't transmit it digitally. You haven't even been to my Animal Crossing island to get pink eye from my animal.
I have the first case of digitally transmitted pink eye.
Call the CDC off COVID. We've got a
New problem. It's digitally transmitted pink eye. It sucks.
I'm pretty sure that just means you watched Sword Art Online or something.
This is my
Hey.
punishment for looking at naughty items on the internet.
Naughty items.
Yeah, they say when you look at porn, you get pink eye.
That's what they taught me in Catholic school.
That's
They would.
That's. I mean, damn. That's. I'm. There's a lot to laugh at. I'm laughing at the phrase "naughty items," because that could just be a joke, or it doesn't even 100% define anything. Because that could have just meant you were scrolling Facebook and Wish decided it wanted to tell you about yourself.
Ooh, real.
Because sometimes it's like, hey, remember that one time you looked at a shoe on a Nike website? It's like, yeah. They're like, are you into foot porn now? Like, no, not really. They're like, what about other weird stuff? You're like, nah, fam, pretty sure I'm good to go on all that.
I was all right, but thank you.
All that said, I'm all that said, I'm doing pretty well. The world's still on fire, so it's not like I'm doing great.
This is your weekly reminder to delete Facebook.
No, not because of Facebook. I just meant in general. Like,
well.
the world is just difficult.
I mean, yes, I understand that the world is difficult. I was just giving you your weekly reminder to delete Facebook.
Well, I appreciate
Sure.
that. That's very kind, nice of you. But no, things are going smoothly. We have a good bit to talk about. Like, we started by saying Happy Pride Month. Did we? I'm not sure if we said it last week. I think we just said turfs are scum, which is still true and will always be true. But I don't know if we said Happy Pride, which we should have because we're continuously aware of it. Especially if you follow our social medias, you wouldn't be surprised by us hearing that. But if you are, just keep looking at our screen names and our content, and eventually you'll realize that not only are we not bigots, we're anti-bigots.
Except for mine, because I don't change mine, because I always forget.
But that's consistency.
Yeah.
And that counts for something. But it is Happy Pride Month, and we want to
Happy
talk
Wrath
about...
Month, honestly.
Yeah.
Everyone says that. No, you're right. It's fine.
I feel like there's an argument for both because obviously like it's wrath, like we're fucking done with the shit. We're like ready to light stuff on fire, literally and metaphorically. But also, I mean, the original Pride was an anti-police brutality riot, so
Yeah, so it's still Pride. In fact, the most classic form.
it is
Yeah.
the most return to like form Pride
Yes.
that we've had.
And along with that, but for no particular reason, please remember to say black when you mean black.
Hell yeah.
You don't have to say people of color, and if you only mean black. If it is a mixed group, please feel free to say people of color. I understand that. But if it's just black people or black person, you can just say that. It's not offensive. I assume people are trying to do the right thing. I don't want to assume that people are trying to erase black people, although that's probably the case often. But
that probably is true.
Giving people the benefit of the doubt.
I was gonna say some people might just not be as educated to it, and
yeah,
I've definitely made the mistake before, and we learn and we progress.
It's kind of like a joke. I don't know if I ever told you, I wanted to do like stand up at a cosplay masquerade one time, but I never did it because you have to plan these things. But one of the jokes I wanted to make was how much people will try to get around saying that a black person was black. Like, oh, hey, I was looking for that guy. Like, people that are quote-unquote woke, like, that person talked to me. Like, can you describe them? He was tall. It's like, okay.
Dark hair.
Dark hair was a little bit curly. Like curly. Like, well, think tighter than curly. Like, what would he look like? Was he, like, pale? Like, no, he was dark. Like, he wasn't tan, but he was dark. Like, did he have a sunburn? Like, he's kind of
maybe
like a chocolatey guy. It's like, okay, nah, you've gone too far. But I appreciate you not wanting to be offensive, but, just fine. Just say black. But anyway, it's Pride Month. Let's talk about a topic. Steph, you were interested in a topic.
Yeah, this is, like, the first time I feel like in, like, a month that I've had, like, something that I was like, I want to talk about this thing. Which is that, Nickelodeon, and I feel like a little of both ways about this, containing multitudes about this Nickelodeon tweet. But Nickelodeon posted a tweet that was like happy Pride to like all the LGBT community and allies, like, and then had a picture of SpongeBob with like a rainbow filter on it. Some live action guy from something who looked like Danny DeVito. Yeah, and then Cora. And then they turned the replies off in what is, in this case, I feel like a little bit of a power move, but,
I'll give them this as a justified one, because I normally hate when brands and, like people with platforms, like transphobes that write magic books, we'll say it's just between them and whoever they mentioned and they didn't mention anybody. Normally I hate that, but when people are being homophobic in your comments, it's fine to turn them off. It's not being productive.
Yeah, so the, ultimately, like, I have, like, two feelings about this, and, like, welcome your commentary about it as well, but, like, on one hand, like, cool, like, thanks, we dig it, like, shout out to, also, like, kind of outing SpongeBob, I guess, like, so, like, people in the comments before they turned them off are like, well, like, the creator confirmed in, like, 2005 that SpongeBob was asexual, and, like, I completely love and support my ace siblings in the LGBT community, but I'm not certain that the creator in 2005 meant that he was a person who did not experience sexual attraction in so much as he maybe meant sponges as a species reproduce by budding, which is an asexual form of reproduction. Like,
yeah.
So, people were like, okay, well, does this mean SpongeBob's gay then? And people were, like, posting, like, I mean, like, look at the history of SpongeBob.
It's a pretty gay show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a lot to be discussed there. One of the difficulties I think some people within the LGBT community have, or at least people out of it, I'm not sure, are that there are a few different axes on which you would be considered queer in one way. There's how do you identify your gender? How do you identify your sexual attraction? How do you identify who you're attracted to? Because you can be, like, there's a few different ways. So, like, asexual people can say, like, hey, you might be gay in your attraction, or maybe heterosexual, quote unquote, in your attraction, or bisexual in your attraction to people, but you'd still be asexual because you don't experience that physical attraction kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, there were a lot of people throwing around homo-romantic in the comments.
Yeah, and then there's people that are like, hey, I'm transgender and experience opposite sex attraction. So you would say, like, you wouldn't call them straight, but they're like, well, I'm not gay. Like, I like women and I'm a man kind of thing, you know what I mean? So there's that kind of stuff. And then, like, there's, like, just several different axes. So I think what Nickelodeon was doing was taking the coward's way out. Like, we always have that Steven Hillenburg, rest in peace, quote to fall back on that SpongeBob was asexual. They could say, well, if you don't want to accept that he's gay, he did say he was asexual, and that is part of pride. Like Korra also had like the rainbow, and Korra's bi, I think, is what the community decided.
Yeah, because she dated Mako in the first season.
Okay, I've never seen the show, so I had to ask on that.
I think the main complaint with Korra being listed there is like, yes, like definitely, she was definitely bisexual, or at least depicted so in the show, but like they did so much to try to shut that shit down.
Yeah, they were so like unsupportive of that show.
Yeah, super fucking bold of you to be like, Happy Pride Month, here's a show that we tried to shut down.
Yeah. Here's a show that we did everything possible to, like, not support, and then wouldn't let them actually kiss in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, fuck off with that.
It's, and if this was a person making this decision, like if it was like Korra's producer that had said Happy Pride, now I'd say, you know what, people can change and grow. It's been a few years. But as a company, it's like, yeah, but y'all already knew this to do better. So, like, I think this is pretty rich of you to do this. However, there's another portion of this that I want to laugh a little bit about before we go back on anything. I was like, wait a minute. Like, a friend told me, he's like, I don't know what's funnier, that they just kind of randomly threw SpongeBob in here, or that there's only 3 characters they could possibly list. And right? I'm like, yeah, that is horrible. Yeah. And but like, wait a minute, no, that's not. I was like, that's not right, actually, because there's queer characters in the Loud House, and I looked it up, and I think there are transgender people in the Loud House as well as gay people and lesbians. Like, I think like the best friend character of the main dude has like gay dads, which is cool. But I'm like, yo, why are they just straight up not there? That seems like a weird exclusion. Them. And then someone's like, "Yo," because their creator like got out as like an abuser and like a assaulting person, like assaulting people. So they probably want to just distance themselves from that show. I'm like, oh, that does kind of make sense, because like you're like, we don't want to promote this person, even though like their characters could have been useful for this post.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like there had to be more than 3 characters, and there are more, but not any that they could really use.
Right.
Because thinking like, what about Cartoon Network? Like they have at least Bubbling, Stevani and the Crystal Gems.
Like even that, like the fact that like if you cut out the Loud House, then you have nothing is also no good. Also, like they retroactively decided that like Kyoshi and Kaya and like a bunch of other people were queer. Like within the comics, they were like, yeah, no, there are lots of queer people in the world. It's the Fire Nation was homophobic and shut it down. But like.
It is funny seeing like comics and stuff like that, like licensed comics, how more wild they're willing to be. Like as far as you can't put this on TV, like, well, we're gonna throw it in the comic though, and they're like, well, yeah, go ahead and do that. Like,
it also said something that, I mean, clearly I'm probably not in the intended audience for most Nickelodeon stuff, but I had no idea who that third person was. After you've explained it to me, I still don't know who that third person was.
Yeah, the live action person.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, I guess. I have no idea who that is, and I don't even know how to start to look it up. Someone said so in the comments, but I forgot because it was a Nickelodeon live action show, like after the 90s. Like, get out of here with that. Remember, like, the OGs, like the Amanda Show and all that, and Keenan and Kel, Cousin Skeeter. I think we talked about Cousin Skeeter last week. I don't know if it was on the show or if it was just us talking about it, but I know we've talked about Cousin Skeeter in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, it is a weird look. Some people are upset that they want to say that SpongeBob is gay, so, like, obviously it was a good idea to say that he was.
Anything that makes homophobes upset.
Yeah, we love to hear it.
One person I got in an argument with said is like, oh man, this is just pandering, like, to make money and all that, like, since the guy passed away. And I was like, oh yes, SpongeBob, the multi-million-dollar franchise that supports Viacom on its own, needs to pander to people to make more money. He's like, well, then why are they making more shows? I'm like, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about pandering. Like, SpongeBob doesn't have to pander to queer people to make money right now. Like, no. It's not like, oh no, what are we going to do? Like, we're trying to make a show that no one's going to watch. I know, we'll get the queer dollar. Like, nah, fam, like, they're good to go. They can say whatever they want at this point.
They've got, like, yeah, they, children are, like, are probably the largest audience for SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Like, I had younger cousins who, that was, like, the only show they wanted to watch fucking ever. I assume that that's the majority of their market.
Yeah, I think they'll be alright.
Yeah, and I assume MTV only can stay on the air because SpongeBob makes so much money that Viacom's like, we'll put a whole channel to just throw money away because we have it like that.
I didn't even know MTV was really still on the air.
I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but it's existing. It's been there longer than G4 has.
Hey,
I mean,
R.I.P. G4.
G4 would have no chance today now that they canceled Cops.
Yeah, they don't have any, they had cancel on cheaters.
Which, like, the fact that, like, if they hadn't told anybody they canceled Cops, I don't think anybody would have noticed. No. You could have just stopped.
They really, like, heard, like, abolish the police, and they were like, cool, we're cancel Cops.
We did say cancel Cops, but we didn't mean the show.
Like, good that they did. It wasn't like it was a productive part of society.
No, yeah.
But it's like, yeah, let's do a little bit more about this. But speaking of, do you have any more thoughts on this Pride tweet, or from Nickelodeon or Pride in general, or the status of cartoons?
I mean, I think just, like, it's, like, on one hand, it's good to see the, like, kind of, and I think we maybe talked about this a little last week, or at least I talked to someone about it. This is, like, not a good week for us remembering what we've discussed on air, but, I think that it's good to see, like, big corporations saying, at least like, obviously, like, there's so much work to do in terms of, like, meaningful change, but, like, in words only is still the first step to meaningful change, kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Like, Nickelodeon has said, like, we don't need the homophobe dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
and
kind
there's
of
something to respect there.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it means something when it becomes further action. Like, we wanted the representation on Adventure Time, and, you know, it meant a lot when Cartoon Network said, hey, you know, Pride is fine. It's like, well, where are your gay characters? Like, I mean, we're not homophobic yet, at least. But, you know, Marceline and Prince of Bubblegum, I think were always intended to be at least a little bit gay, you know what I mean? Like, you can't watch that show and be like, yes, these completely straight women in this apocalyptic land. But Rebecca Sugar had a lot of impact on that, and then she gets a show. Is it she, they? I think she goes by both.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like, hey, Rebecca, here's a show. Make what you want. So she was like, hey, let's make this shit real gay. And then, like, now you have it that you have a non-binary character that is just magical, but is still, that's where the bar of, like, we could probably have done that a little better is. Because, like, oh, yeah, we have these lesbians over here, there's lesbians over there. Well, no, there's a non-binary character in Steven Universe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Sadie's new partner. And,
yeah, so...
Like, and it, like, it, in that, like, in the same way has set the stage for other shows to be even more queer, like She-Ra. Like, I feel like if you told Stephanie watching the finale of Legend of Korra 5 years ago what She-Ra was gonna be like, I would be like, I don't believe you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is baby steps, and it's not enough progress that fast, but I think it does show that these things are swinging in the opposite direction, which hopefully in a few years we won't have to have this conversation, but I don't see that happening. I can only hope that we get there sooner than later. But
yeah.
Damn hope so.
But seeing as that capitalism runs everything, Nickelodeon has a kart racing game coming out. A sequel, actually, to the kart racing game. It's... I don't remember the title, because it was stupidly long. So I gotta scroll up just to look at this, because why would you name a game this?
Well, you said it was something like what you typed in the chat was like Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix and Knuckles, yes, featuring Dante from Devil May Cry and Steven. So like that's not the actual title.
But it could be.
Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix. That's the game. And that's, for the most part, is all fine and good, but there's also like a human in this game. How do I put this? So it was a little bit weird when Sonic and All-Stars Racing transformed, or however they're arranged. The second Sonic All-Stars Racing game, lots of Sega characters, but also the Wreck-It Ralph was in there as an exchange for putting Sonic and Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph was in the game. That kind of makes sense, but then also Danica Patrick is there. Danica Patrick I don't think was in any video game. It was just that Sega and her racing sponsorships had like mutual deals, which is okay. That's weird, but okay, cool. It's fine. But this one has some performer. I don't know her name. She's a real person. You recognize who she was, and I was like, wait.
Was it JoJo Siwa?
It was JoJo Siwa. Yes, JoJo Siwa, the human being, is in this Nickelodeon game. This kart racing game. So that's kind of cool. Zim's there, Danny Phantom. It's just one of those things you see it and you're like, the kart racing genre is still big. Yeah, on the cover there's Lincoln Loud, SpongeBob, one of the Ninja Turtles, and then JoJo Siwa, but as a cartoon character. Ren and Stimpy, and then like Korra is there, which is good. Yep, Ren and Stimpy, they share a car the same way Cat Dog shares. No, they're not sharing a car.
Gross.
Wait,
but yeah,
Cat Dog is not sharing a car?
No, Ren and Stimpy aren't sharing a car.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was like, how is that possible?
Cat Dog is sharing a car. So yeah, looking at it, there's 3 characters from the Loud House, which is cool. Arnold, Gerald, and Helga are here. Aang and Korra, very good.
You're really reaching through literally all of their...
Yeah.
Yeah, they got... So JoJo Siwa gets top billing. And then SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy. Cool. Cat Dog. Shredder is there, and then all 4 Ninja Turtles. I don't know why they have Shredder listed first. Cool, though.
Are the other ones referred to as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and so Shredder is, like, alphabetically before them?
Probably. Yeah. And then Tommy, Chucky, Reptar, and Angelica. Kind of sucks Angelica got put after Reptar, but, it is what it is. Then,
now we know it's not alphabetical.
No. Then you got Danny Phantom. Danny Fenton, not here. Strange.
Huh. And wonder where he is.
Then Ren and Stimpy, Zim and Gur, and then Rocco and Heifer. So, nice little cast you got here. It's, I guess it depends on what image you use. Other images have Angelica above Reptar, so that's kind of cool. Okay. But,
question is this going to be better or worse than Garfield Kart?
Sorry, what?
That depends on how
Garfield Kart.
It
depends did you not know about Garfield Kart?
I don't know about Garfield Kart. I was just gonna say that like the cast of characters for this thing is like impossible for like one person to have like knowledge of every character, like because it spans like from Rocco, which was like
early 90s.
A little bit over when I was.
Yeah, I think like Rocco and Ren and Stimpy were like the original Nicktoons. Along with Rugrats, actually.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Where's Doug Funny at? Like, why don't we have a Quellman cameo? This is garbage. 0 out of 10 unplayable. Yeah, the only characters I don't have, like, a good knowledge of here are Korra, just because I didn't watch it, and then the 3 characters from the Loud House. But it's weird. He has, like, 7 sisters, so they had to put, like, 1 here, and then, like, his black best friend. Cool. There's a black character in the Nickelodeon game, which means there's more black characters than in Smash Bros.
And Overwatch.
Overwatch has black guys in that game. I'll give them that they do have that, but
True.
No black women. So, that's a Nickelodeon game coming out, and everyone's just kind of like, that's odd, but cool. Why not?
So in the meantime, Eric, tell me about Garfield Kart. I cut you off while you were telling me about this.
No, it's okay. I don't really have a whole lot to say. I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than it exists and was like a full price game when it came out. Not full price. I don't think it was $60, but it was still pretty expensive. It's like abhorrently bad. I think a second one got made, to be completely honest.
I'm pretty sure there are 2 Garfield Karts, yes.
Yeah, and I think you can get it on Switch. So that's a game that you could potentially be playing. Is Garfield Kart.
Yeah, there's Garfield Kart Racers and Garfield Kart Furious Racing.
Yeah. I only know about it because Jeff Gerstmann of Giant Bomb tasked himself with playing every Garfield game that has ever been released. And
I think it's an important task for games journalism.
Yes.
This is what they talk about when they say ethics in games journalism is, playing every Garfield Kart game, not just the 5-star reviewed ones.
You have to know, you have to have a frame of reference for the Garfield games, so...
Now, did he play the one where he's trapped in TV Land?
Look, I don't think he's gotten through all of them. Last I checked in, he had played Garfield Kart, both of them, and he had also played the 3 PS2 games that came out, and they were all, let me check, very bad.
So, from what I can tell, Garfield Kart Furious Racing is just mediocre. Like, it's not, the second one is not bad. It's not good.
The first one was very bad, though.
It has a 9 on Steam, or a 9 out of 10 on Steam, but that's probably like just memeing.
Wait, the first one does?
No, the second one.
Okay, sure.
I'm not looking at the first one. I don't want that in my search history. What if something happens to me and that's the last thing people see that I saw?
True. Quickly, speaking of racing, though, I think we had meant to mention this back with Pride, but I just wanted to give some props to NASCAR.
Oh, yeah, speaking of racing.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
For,
Amazing.
sticking it to fucking white nationalists, which is their fan base, banning Confederate flags.
Yeah, NASCAR banning Confederate flags from their stadiums is braver than most police officers, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like, NASCAR, the Navy, and the Marines have, in the last 2 weeks, banned the Confederate flag in any way. And it just, it cracks me up. You saw about the guy who was like, well, I'm quitting NASCAR then.
Yeah.
His stats were awful. The guy was...
He was 0-31.
Yeah, he was 0-31, which means, he was never good at anything with races.
Well done.
So,
that guy has won as many NASCAR races as I have.
Exactly. How will they ever replace him with somebody else who loses every race?
If I started racing NASCAR today, I could do as well as he did.
Yes, 100%.
And I don't know if it was real or not. I don't know
think
if there
it was,
was
but I wish it was.
Yeah, hey, actually we had to Google to figure out who you were, so we won't miss you. It was probably a photoshopped reply from the official NASCAR account, but it was still good.
That's very good. I'm glad they did that, and some people are like, yeah, good luck banning them from the campgrounds outside.
Yeah,
and it's
true, but
they didn't do. They're like, they wouldn't try to do that. They can't. There's no,
Yeah.
They're like, you can't bring them in here though, which
that's a start.
Yeah, think about why not.
Yeah,
which is pretty good. Good job on NASCAR. And a lot of people are mad, but it makes me happy. And someone has a Black Lives Matter car, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know his name. I don't follow NASCAR, but apparently a lot of people watch NASCAR after those 2 days.
The joke was that the left managed to get NASCAR in the divorce, and the right got Harry Potter, surprising everyone.
Yeah,
it's weird.
And honestly, as much as I shit on NASCAR, would rather have it than Harry Potter anyways.
NASCAR has done less to stall the discourse, to be fair. I'll just leave it at that. I don't need Harry Potter fans coming after me.
No, honestly, I already know what happened in Harry Potter. I don't need to know anything else about what happens in Harry Potter. I could get into NASCAR. I could learn new things about NASCAR.
You could, but I don't think you really want to.
I don't need to, but
honest.
I could.
I think NASCAR is a drain on this planet from a scientific standpoint.
An environmental perspective.
Yeah, from just an ecological standpoint.
Yeah, as far as sport and entertainment, you do you. I'm not going to be mad if that's what you like to watch. I just think it probably shouldn't be a thing because it's destroying fossil fuel at an alarming rate, and it's not like that's the best fuel for us to use. That's too bad. Let's talk about something that's pretty cool. Let's talk about video games. We've been talking about video games.
But let's talk about them again
more.
now that I've interrupted it.
So, someone told me about the Game Grumps. I didn't follow this story too well.
Oh, that was just that, basically in response to, Aaron kind of realizing that he actually has a platform and can make a difference. He literally said that. He was literally
what day is it? What year is it?
Yeah, he literally said that. Me not doing any of this is actually bad. It's worse than me. Whatever. And so he finally went through and he made a Black Lives Matter statement. And then he went through and removed all of the videos in which him or his co-hosts said, offensive slurs.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did that have anything to mean,
JonTron.
Every JonTron?
Yeah, that mostly means JonTron. There were a couple where, Dan had said, something. I'm not even really sure, because, I didn't follow exactly what got removed. And, I don't know if he, fully removed them or just made them private. But either way, they're not searchable at this point. Yeah, so good on him for realizing that, like, you do, like, as a, like, YouTuber, you do have a platform, and, like, you are influential to, like, impressionable people. So,
Yeah.
like, it's important for you to, like, get out there and, like, I'm not saying, like, you get to brainwash people or whatever, because that's not how that works. But it is important that you, like, get out there and make your viewpoints known if you really truly value them.
Yeah. A lot of youth watch you. And...
Yeah.
And a lot of people who want to say stuff like, oh, well, I don't want to, this is all too depressing, I don't want to follow it. Like, like a lot of people that are in the cosplay community or other nerd circles want to just put their head in the sand and not realize that,
that they have a race problem too.
Yeah. That they have a race problem. Holy hell, that's, the fact that people want to act like cosplay doesn't have like nerd culture and fandom doesn't have like a race problem is laughable to me.
Problem.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's so obvious.
There's so, like, I mean, like, race problems and generally just, like, identity problems and, like,
dog nerd culture is fucked up.
Yeah, super huge, like, superficial beauty standards and all sorts of stuff, too. Like, it's fucked. Like...
Yeah. Aaron, before I forget, because I almost forgot, but Aaron making that statement is kind of, like, the interesting thing of, like, how Logan Paul made a statement.
Right?
Yeah.
Which was, and people are like, this was actually a fairly good, succinct statement. And it's one of those things of, people are like, well, why is he even getting involved in this? It's not like he's saying a whole bunch, like, he's going to donate some money because he has a bunch. But it's like, people who watch a lot of Logan Paul, like, fought on, like, the big PewDiePie, like, wormholes on YouTube, and, like, are very easy for them to, like, get to Nazis and find, like, Nazi shit, Yeah. So for Logan Paul to say, half the reason I can get away with the shit that I do is because I'm white. Like, if I was black, I would have been in jail by now or killed. Like, you can't ignore that. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, he pretty much pointed at the one thing that we all been saying the whole time is that these white dudes on YouTube get away with a lot of shit. And he's like, yo, like, if you don't realize that, you're fucking racist. I'm like, okay, Logan Paul, like, I'm not going to give you a cookie because this is good that you say that, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't helpful for him to point that out to his young, impressionable fans.
It just, like, it felt like maybe Logan Paul had a better and more succinct, like, mea culpa take on it than, like, most corporations.
Yeah.
Which is, like, oof.
Yeah.
Like, big oof.
And I think there's kind of I think there's always that little bit that YouTubers have to know about is, like, cancel culture is fake, I think. Like, it doesn't really cancel anybody except for, like, minorities, and marginalized people.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And even then, the only person I've ever seen, like, successfully get canceled was Nick Robinson, because that dude completely disappeared. But, which, is what it is. But,
I mean, deplatforming works in some ways. Like, have you heard anything from Milo Yiannopoulos in the last year?
He got he got deplatformed.
The difference between deplatforming and canceling?
Yeah, there's a difference, because, like, if the corporations themselves, like, of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are like, no, you are so, like, such a toxic and bad influence that we're getting rid of you fully, that's different,
Yeah.
Alex Jones still whines to President Trump that he's not allowed on Facebook, so...
Yeah, but I think J.K. Rowling said something that's like, oh, this is like the 10th time people are trying to cancel me. It's like, yeah, because cancel culture is fucking fake, like...
Yeah, because it doesn't work.
If canceling people worked, like, Chris Brown wouldn't still be, like, doing stuff, like, J.K. Rowling would have been out of the paint by now, like... canceling doesn't usually work, but that said, you can be deplatformed. So, like, Logan Paul's like, if I make a good statement, that like, if I don't make statements or make bad statements, people could figure out they're tired of me. Like, you can just stop watching him too. Your time could just be up. Like, you get your 15 minutes can be over. Versus, like, if Walmart doesn't make a good statement, like, well, people still gotta shop and eat. Like, Amazon could say, hey, you know what? They could say something, like, outwardly specifically racist, and it's like, damn, y'all own most of everything, though. It's going to be real hard for me to go day to day without using it, versus, like, I could not watch a Logan Paul video.
You also have no idea if you're using Amazon Web Services and stuff. Like, that's...
Exactly.
Yeah, like, the whole MTA uses Amazon Web Services. Like...
Yeah. It's almost impossible to be able to, like, monitor that kind of thing. No, I have a whole list of white nationalist media people that I just wish would get deplatformed entirely, but I feel like Twitter enables them too much and makes too much money off of them to ever want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
What a concept.
It's too bad. Especially because every now and then you see little glimpses of somebody behind the scenes of Twitter being like, no, this isn't right. It's like, can you do something about it? we could do something. We're not going to do enough. Like,
Yeah. I don't remember if we talked about last week about how Twitter is going to start testing a feature where in order to share an article on Twitter, it's going to ask if you've read it.
Yes.
Which is just like, I'm like, people are just going to be like, yeah, I read it. Like, that you didn't change anything. Like,
I think it's hard to change cultures. It's the argument we always have every time people talk about how like voice chats are toxic within video games. The question always is, it's like, yeah, we could take it seriously, and every time people send a report, we'll have the little recording in the match chat, we'll look at it, and if it, if it violates stuff, we can get rid of it. And the only reason we're saying we're not going to automate it is because sometimes, for instance, minorities and marginalized people might say something that's considered a slur about themselves, like in fun, black people say the N-word, women might call each other the B-word sometimes, like in jest. I've seen it, I don't know how often it is. Which is different than somebody from the out group doing that to you. So, like, context matters in that sense, but whatever. But the whole point of it is, what I'm saying is, how do you prevent the culture from being toxic? It's like, well, I can ban them if they call you the N-word, but I can't prevent them from doing that.
Right.
So how do you do that? You have to, like, slowly change the culture. And
culture changes very slowly, and and some people would consider it immutable in ways.
And online video games are pretty bad at it, but, like, one thing Twitter could do, like, by saying, did you check that? People still have to click no or yes, I read it. And it's not going to necessarily fix it overnight, but it's at least easing your hand in the way of saying, hey, you should really not just share shit for the sake of it. Like, we can't stop you. It's not how this works. We're not going to quiz you because that's not how this platform works. But the more of those things that kind of add in, the more...
Man, what if you had to take a test on everything you ever shared on Twitter?
Twitter would collapse. Like,
yeah.
Twitter would collapse.
Or maybe people would get hella smart.
Lack of information is not the reason why people are not smart. I figured that out. We all have access to the same internet in this country. But yeah, that's fun. Good job on Game Grumps. Speaking of things with game in the title, let's go straight to Game Gears. There's Game Gear Minis. Yeah. What the fuck is this?
It's a mini console.
They're very small.
They're very, very small.
Have you seen the original Game Gear?
Yeah, it's not huge.
Yeah, it's roughly the size of a Nintendo Switch. Like, roughly. Like,
yeah. And that's not screen size. That's like the size.
The screen's probably like 3 inches both ways.
It's very small.
Yeah, like 3x2 or something.
And so the mini is a 1 square inch screen. And they're putting one of them out is like 4 like Shining Force games, which are all JRPGs. One has Shin Megami Tensei on it, which like that game is hard enough to play when you can read. Like,
what are you saying, Steph?
No, just how do you read it?
You won't. Well, Steph, sorry. For how do you read it, they're selling you a magnifying glass thing that you can attach to it.
I hate that.
Like back in the day with all the attachments on your Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. So, we made this thing mini because that's the current trend, but we're also going to release something alongside of it to make it possible to read it.
Oops, too many. I felt that, there was a size in between they could have done.
Yeah.
Oops,
or you know what? They're doing this for their anniversary. They could have put out a console, classic version that everybody wanted, because they've already done the Genesis. What I'm saying is release the Dreamcast Classic, cowards.
Yeah, do that. Or they could have just said, hey, here's a Game Gear Mini, but you can't, take it on the go, because obviously the Game Gear was a bad idea in general. It took 6 AA batteries.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would last about 2 hours.
I honestly had never even heard of a Game Gear before you brought up this conversation, so I'm very interested in the
let me blow your mind with something else then, that there was a competitive, so Sega made another handheld that competed with its own handheld, the Game Gear, that was called the Sega Nomad. And the Nomad was just a Genesis. It was just a portable Genesis. It also took 6 AA batteries and would last about, I don't know, an hour. With those batteries.
But it was the Nomad, you could take it with you. You couldn't beat a game, but you could take it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, the Game Gear was an interesting concept. It had a lot of things that made it better than the Game Boy, other than, but it wasn't, viable. It was a color
backlit screen. Yeah, backlit color screen already was huge.
That was 2 generations ahead, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Game Boy didn't get that till the Advance.
The Advance SP.
Yeah, because the Advance wasn't backlit for some reason. So that was pretty cool. It probably had louder sound, but it's compared to a Game Boy, it was way more powerful, but at what cost,
Yeah.
So there's that.
The cost of 6 AA batteries per every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or like use a battery pack is what we did. You charge it up before you go, which made it far less portable, but still like you could at least play the games.
I didn't own a Game Gear, I owned a Nomad. And the way I played it was I had an AC adapter, so I sat close to walls.
Yeah.
Played it.
A friend gave it to us or sold it to us. Like, we didn't buy it new because why would you? But,
Yeah.
How else was I going to play 3 more Sonic games in Mickey and the Castle of Illusion?
Hey, that's a Mickey and the Castle of Illusion's very good. The 3 Sonic games that were on the Game Gear, not as good.
Triple Trouble was acceptable.
Yeah, well, the Tails game was not great.
Which one? There were 2.
Both.
There's Tails Adventure and
Yes.
Tails Sky Patrol.
Yeah.
Tails Sky Patrol. He can fly, but what if he drove a plane?
Yeah, and that's the plot of that game.
Actually, he often drives a plane. Almost every game, actually. Never mind. That's cool, I guess. Good old Tails. This
Good
week,
old Tails.
good old Tails. He's definitely a bottom.
Yeah, but in video games this week, it was
His name is
E3.
Tails.
This week was E3.
Wait, Steph, what did you say?
I said his name is Tails. Of course he's a bottom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, like, being that his name is Knuckles, he has Knuckles on his fist. Are we assuming that Knuckles is a top?
I just assume he likes to fist people.
That's
There is some sort of digital penetration occurring.
Yeah.
Do you say, oh, like your hand, not like technological. Like, is that how you get digital
Gotcha.
pink eye?
Yes. Digital penetration. Oh boy.
So I don't think digital penetration is going to be the title.
Digital pink eye, maybe.
It's up there it's in the runnings, but
Cool runnings.
It's Cool Runnings starring Knuckles. Only Knuckles, just one Knuckles by himself sliding through the snow. This is basically E3 we're in right now.
Yeah. Well, no, E3 was last week. E3's done now. It would be done by now. Yes, E3's over.
But I thought there were like
we're
more
E3,
things
we're,
happening. Like
There are, because, like, since there isn't an actual conference, everything's kind of just holding their own, like, digital press conferences, basically. And Sony kind of kicked it off with their PS5 release announcement.
Nintendo, drop the direct, you cowards.
Yeah, right?
I mean, we're essentially a bunch of games journalists talking about new releases, so we are essentially E3. There are 3 of
Yeah.
us.
This is E3. That's right. E3 stands for
Eddie.
Eric.
3
Eric.
podcasters.
Eric, Stephanie Elizabeth, and Dominic.
E-Dom.
You've heard of E-girls and E-boys, but get ready for an E-dom. Like and sub below. Yeah, the PS5 was premiered with some new games that look pretty decent in 4K if you have a 4K monitor, or a way to watch something that's high as 1080. But
Yeah. Well, so I do want to make a quick statement about the whole, like, conference that they did. They broadcast it in 30 FPS and like 720, I think, or whatever. It might have been 1080. I don't know. But that meant that a lot of the trailers looked bad. Like,
Yeah.
they
So
did
was it
not.
laggy?
Well, kind of. Like, they looked like hitchy. Like the textures looked wrong. Especially, like, the best example of that is the Resident Evil 8 got an announcement trailer, and it looked really not good.
yeah, I watched it I was watching it on Twitch, but a friend was also like streaming it through Twitch, which was behind, and the double streaming is compressed to hell. So
Yeah.
but like for instance, Horizon Zero Dawn's sequel looked
Yeah.
beautiful on Twitch, but I heard it didn't look quite as good on YouTube.
Yeah, it depended on the streaming platform, and like it's just because of the limitations of putting it out over the internet like that live. Like,
yeah.
so like a lot of the things look probably like not as great as they might in the future, hopefully, and that's not me just being like, oh, let's hope that everything looks beautiful all the time.
No, it's just like it objectively can't look as good as it's supposed to because it was streamed
Yeah.
at less of a quality than it was produced at.
And but yeah, there
Them's
were
the
a lot
breaks.
of really good game announcements.
There were.
What was your favorite of it, Stephanie? Because I'm definitely sure that you watched this.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite was definitely the announcement for that game, that, the sequel to that JRPG. Pretty excited about that.
Was a JRPG announcement.
It sounds like you're a fake geek boy who doesn't know about what
You're right.
happened.
See, I just thought that you would be excited about the Ratchet and Clank with the
Oh yeah, with the cute furry girl.
With
Yeah.
Nermal.
yeah.
Someone's like, that's just... They're like, this is just Garfield and Nermal, you guys.
It
Like,
is.
don't be fooled.
That's this is more Garfield than we've referenced ever. But But yeah, I'm actually excited
Dawn.
I really like Ratchet and Clank. The last game that they put out was very, very good, so I'm actually pretty stoked for that. Assuming that I can afford a PS5 ever.
Well, I think the numbers were floating around like whether 600 or 700. I think was the leak. I can't remember.
So the leak was 800, but
Okay.
that was because it was a posting on Amazon.co.uk. And it was a placeholder price. So like Sony then came out and was like, "No, guys, really, it's not $800. We're not going to tell you how much it is, but it's not $800." So,
It's
cool,
like
I
up
guess.
or down, my guy. Like
yeah, but the
it is $799.99.
There's two models though. Okay, like there's a model that has a disc drive and one that's just all digital, like it's just all downloads, I guess. Which is
So
if
like
these
a Switch
games
and
are
Switch Lite,
like what?
yeah,
like a Switch and a Switch Lite, kind of.
Yeah, basically.
yeah, sort
In
of.
a way, and the thing about that is if these games are supposed to like run in 4K, like how big are these downloads going to be, and how
Huge.
big is the hard drive that you
Not
have to have
huge enough.
to make that like viable?
Yeah, I'm like the only thing that I'm kind of upset about, like, you know, people were dunking on the design of the console, and I actually think it looks pretty unique and interesting. I'm actually a fan.
It's
The
a
only
piece
thing
of
I'm
tech. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, the only thing I'm not a fan of is on the one with the disc drive, which I will get because I like physical media. Again, if I can get one, is that the disc drive looks like a tumor on the side of it. Like it looks like they're like, oh fuck, we forgot the disc drive.
Oh shit, where do we put it?
It did not look graceful, but I guess that's what happens when you don't just make your console just a brick like the
Yeah.
Xbox Series X or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Just looks like a computer tower.
The Xbox sex.
It's the Xbox sex. It's it's what Microsoft is about. I think the controller looks sleek. It looks fun. People
Yeah.
are making like their Wi-Fi router jokes. It's all good.
Yeah.
It looks
They
fine.
Seto Kaiba looks like Seto Kaiba as
It
a,
does.
as a console.
That's not
It
wrong.
does. It does look
No,
like that.
but I was excited. You know, Dom. You know, I asked Stephanie. I know she didn't watch it, but Dom, what was your game that you're most excited for?
Well, I came in late. I was playing Overwatch streaming before it came on, so I wasn't going to watch it because I don't really care that much. But then I looked and I did care. I liked Horizon Zero Dawn, or
Yeah.
well, whatever the sequel was. It looked pretty nifty. I thought Aloy was a cool character. I mean, I haven't played the game, but just from what I've seen, I like her design and the world that they have there, and it seems like there's going to be underwater and robots and stuff.
Yeah, and that
Is it
the first game
Horizon
is
something
very
zero?
Horizon Zero Dawn is the
Well,
original
no,
one.
what's the name of the sequel? It has like another set of like two nouns that sounds
Yeah, like I don't know,
impressive
good. I don't
together.
remember.
like Frontierland or something. I don't remember.
I don't
Like
think it was Frontier.
Twilight
Land.
End or something
Was it
like that.
was it
like-
Northern Frontier or something like that? Because I know that you're going like or
Maybe?
east-
No,
something
the
Frontier.
word frontier
I don't know.
wasn't in there, but I feel like they got a lot of shit for like vague native like appropriation for the first one, and I feel like if they had the word frontier in the title, it would have been.
Yeah, that's why I made it. That's called Forbidden West. And I don't know. I've heard if she's like based off of like native, like indigenous peoples, or like some of the Celtic stuff. I don't actually know. I didn't want to get into that because I can't speak either way. And I'm not going to say it wasn't racist. I just like the idea of these creatures being half robot, half dinosaur.
Yeah.
I thought the premise was pretty cool. And I'm like, please don't be racist.
It's also fun to play.
It looked fun to play. So there's
You know,
that. That looked fun.
I can't really say what I was most excited for, but one of the ones that did catch my eye is called, they finally put out a trailer for Ghostwire Tokyo, which
What's that?
is a yokai hunting game sent in like a Tokyo, and you're like, it's like first person, so it's like a first person action game. It's being put out by Bethesda.
Oh, yeah.
Like, actually looks pretty cool.
Oh.
Ikumi
There's a
Nakamura was the one, like, she was the one who announced it at E3 last year. So, like, it's a cool looking game. That and Bug Snacks.
Bug snacks. What's that about? I just heard. It just sounds like.
What?
They're kind of bugs. They're kind of snacks. It's Bug Snacks. Whoa.
Oh. I hate this planet.
Wow.
It's being put out by the studio that did Octodad.
Oh, okay. Then I don't hate that anymore.
Yeah,
It's just them
and-
being quirky.
Yes, and like it seems like what it is like there are bugs that are snacks, like snails that are cinnamon rolls, and you eat them, and then your arm turns into cinnamon rolls. Like I don't know. It's a very
So you're
weird
like,
game.
what's his name?
Yeah, Sun Eater.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
say you're like
but,
the gay Sasuke from.
But yeah, it's Bug Snacks. Whoa.
I liked
DuckTales. Woo.
there was a game called Deathloop that looked fun.
Yeah.
Basically, the person keeps dying and coming back to life and having to fight through it. There's a cool black lady in the trailer.
There were a couple different games like that, because Capcom had one that looked kind of weird, where it's like little girl, like there's a cat that you can see through. I don't know. Overall, there were a lot of very cool showings that like made me actually excited for, the quote unquote next generation of console gaming.
Oh wait, I know what I'm most excited about. Stray Cat.
Yes. Oh, Stray. Yeah.
Stray Cat.
There's a cat.
There's a cat.
There's a game.
He's wearing a backpack.
Yep. It's just called Stray, and you play as a cat in a world full of robots that seems to be like a Cyberpunk Tokyo or a Cyberpunk like future thing. And that one actually looks really cool. Also excited for that one.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cat games coming out. Like I said, I was talking about it before. There's a group called Gorilla Collective, and they had some shows today and yesterday, and they showed a bunch of games. And there was one with a cat. It was like a cat in a hoodie. I don't remember what the game was, but I hurried up and like wishlisted it on Steam because it looked dope as hell.
Oh, you mean Blink's?
No, Austin Walker made that joke though, and it does. And the cat looks like Blinks, but it's not Blinks, which is too bad because Blinks didn't get a fair shake. I don't know how you find your wish list on Steam, but I think it's called Gory, Gori, and it's like this really violent game, but it's this cute thing. And you want to know how you kill people, you guys? You want to know what your weapon of choice is? It's a hoverboard, like a skateboard thing. It's like half Tony Hawk, but sometimes it's God of War. The same type of action.
This sounds extremely on brand for you.
It looks like some. If you saw it, you'd be like, yo, that's some shit that Dom would like. Like, I guarantee you would think that. But no, that looked pretty cool. And apparently Gory is a city in Georgia, the country, so that's not going to be enough. I gotta look for a little bit more because I don't remember the full title. Yeah, it's called Gory, Cuddly Carnage. Because it is cuddly, why would you not be? And yeah, it's a cat with goggles and a little red hoodie, kind of giving me like Sonic the Movie vibes here. And yeah, you fight stuff with a skateboard, hoverboard thing. What's not to like?
What's not to love?
Yeah. There's but overall the PS5 reveal was pretty exciting. And did enjoy watching. There's a bunch of other games that I'm forgetting to mention because I can never remember their names.
That's fine.
Why remember names of things that aren't out yet?
It might not actually ever come out. The reveal was kind of weird though. Like they kept having like flat white surfaces like move and undulate, and like the symbols from PlayStation like kept rising up and down. Like, bro, like you know who has it right? Nintendo, like, and then it like shows your trailer. Like, it's fast. We don't need to stick around. I don't need to like watch a PlayStation like give birth to itself. Just give me the damn game.
Yeah, Giant Bomb's commentary on the constant like showing of like square, X, triangle, and circle was pretty entertaining.
It's like, I get it.
They'd be like, "Have you heard of the X button?" No, what's that? Oh, it's a button that's usually on the. Let me check the PlayStation controllers. It's in the shape of an X. Like it. There was a lot of that, but
and then go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, how much, like, I only saw like a little bit of it, but like and like Eric, you touched on this a little bit, like talking about physical media, but like I have like such strong opinions about the concept of like digital only, like only downloading things versus like buying them, and like right now I'm like trapped into that because obviously the GameStop down the street is not open right now.
Yeah,
but like. I am very anti the idea of not being able to own a copy of the thing that I have paid money for. Like,
I think is like, are you like is the question like, are you fearful that that's just kind of our inevitable future?
Yeah, because I mean, like the fact that there's like one like a different version of each for the PlayStation 5, like.
I mean, and it's the same with the Xbox. The Series X is going to have a discless version as well, and I do think that a lot of that is like publishers, developers, and console makers are all kind of pushing towards that future, and I do see it as something that would happen if America had strong enough like internet capabilities throughout the entire country. So I think we're safe on still getting physical media until like we actually roll out like
until we actually have like real internet,
until we have actual infrastructure across the states, because like
they stop redlining Wi-Fi and
because we're still one of the largest markets for video games, because like Korea, Japan, like those areas like generally in the metro areas have stronger internet capabilities than we do, but like until America as a whole is brought up to that same level, I do think we will not see the death of physical media for the time being. At least that's my hope too, because I am also in the same vein of like, I prefer to own physical copies, mainly because I just like to make them look pretty on my shelves.
Yeah. Limited Run Games does stuff like that. They release like collector's editions for a bunch of different games that were digital only. Yeah. Which, I mean, people like to use the Scott Pilgrim example as like what happened, like, or the DuckTales remaster. Like, you can't get those games anymore. Like, you can't, like, if you don't have them, you can't get them. They don't exist anymore. It's not like you could pay somebody like $1,000 or something for it. Like, you literally just can't get it again. Kind of like what happened to PT.
Yep. And it's a shame because like those are, like, Scott Pilgrim game specifically was actually a really fun game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I think, we're going to keep getting physical media, I think, as long as we have to. It sucks that a lot of games are digital only, especially when they require, like, digital rights management to even access them. It's like, say, Steam or something. If my internet goes out, I can't play most of the games on my computer. That kind of sucks. Glad that Humble gives you, like, DRM free versions, or like Amazon or itch.io. If you buy a game, you physically have the game. I mean, it doesn't physically exist,
but you have the source files for it, basically.
I have a copy of it. So, like, if itch.io goes under tomorrow and they can't sell games ever again, I will have, any games I actually downloaded so far. They released that bundle like 1,000 games. But if I've downloaded a game, I have it physically. Well, as physical as digital can be, but which is cool.
You have it. You have it remotely. You're not depending on like a external Wi-Fi to.
Yes,
I do think that like we are in an interesting time where we're also moving towards game streaming, where like Microsoft and Sony both have programs in place where rather than purchasing games, you just pay a subscription and then you can just stream the games. You don't even have to download them in certain instances. And like I find that I find it interesting, if only for the convenience of like, I want to try this game, but I don't want to buy it and I don't want to like, download it because I don't want to take the time or disk space to do so. And like, I've tried out games that way, but it is not the ideal way to play it. And if it's something I want to own, as I said, I want to own it.
Yeah, that's a big mess. And it's bad for preservation too.
Yes, very bad for games preservation.
Other formats don't necessarily have that. I'm not sure like how exactly hard it is to port something, but I know if you release something like black and white on film, you could relatively recreate that in a digital format pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, we know how hard it is to port something because it took, Persona 4 Golden just came out on PC this weekend, and that came out, I think, in like 2012 on the Vita. So
yeah, the tiny little system. So yeah, PC Game Show happened this weekend, and Persona 4 Golden was announced and released on Saturday.
Yep,
the 13th. So I want to play that one day. It's like $20. It's not bad. For what, like a 4,000 hour game or something?
I mean, yeah, you can play that like through New Game Plus and everything. Like that is like it is a very good Persona game. If you've never played it, I would recommend it, especially at the price point coming in on Steam for $20. And people will probably mod it, so you might see some interesting stuff on that.
Ooh, hell yeah! As well. Can't wait to play as Joker in Persona 4 Golden. Can't wait to play as Goku.
but the only other thing that really like I watched the whole PC Game Show or PC Gamers PC Game Show or whatever it was, and I think I'm the only one in the group that did, and honestly I kind of wish I didn't, because like there wasn't a whole lot interesting. Like I'm struggling to even think of like things that they showed that I was like, oh cool. It was more just kind of like, oh, that's a game.
Well, it's hard to do like a PC game show because it's not like a centralized company. So like if I want to talk about a PC game that I'm releasing, I can just do it. But if something's coming in Nintendo, that's the best chance for them to like talk about all their stuff. Like, hey, we're going to do a big announcement and announce like 30 games plus all of our indies. You might as well wait for that. Like,
yeah. And a lot of the PC Game Show stuff was like, it was kind of tainted by the fact that like, I feel like Epic paid them a chunk to just be like, do a section that's just about the Epic Game Store. So like, and that just put, I'm just kind of put off by that. Yeah, but like the one game that like previously had been announced and had been like, decried for being problematic, because it probably is in certain ways or will be in certain ways, is called New World. And the more information they've put out about it is that it's an MMO, and I'm like, oh man, another MMO. I love those. And the thing about it is, I was like, oh, there's all this shit about like colonialism. I don't like that. And then they're like, you can be a plague doctor. And I was like, never mind. I want to be a plague doctor.
That's how they get... Oh, it's from Amazon. Okay, that's going to be their second game after Crucible.
Oh, I didn't. Is that from Amazon? That makes sense.
That's what it's looking like. I mean, okay, it's Amazon's MMO is their MO. Colonialism, taking everything.
Yep. Yeah. Either way, at least that looked somewhat interesting, if only because, like, I've been thirsting for a fresh MMO to sink some time into.
It does look nice.
Yeah.
You don't have enough video games, so I totally understand.
Look, and here's the thing, is I have plenty of video games that I could be playing, but my whole issue is I desire the MMO. And so when I get an MMO, I play it, and I play it, and I play it, and I don't play any of the other video games that I buy at the same time as playing the MMO. Like, I'll play this, and then I don't. So
that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a bunch of games I need to play. I'm going to start trying to play some more stuff. Yeah.
That was also the hard part about watching the PC gaming thing as well as the PS5 release. I was like, man, I want to... Like, I got done watching the PS5, event or whatever, and then afterwards was like, yeah, I want to play video games. I want to play those video games, not any of the ones I own. I'm like, I want to play those games so bad. Well, Eric, you have, hundreds of games.
So many games, Eric.
But they're not those ones.
But what about these games?
What about these? Lots of games. So, 2 topics to finish out. Steph, I want you to tell me about this term that you learned to close out the Pride Month chat. PC month is Pride Month, etc. You learned a Japanese word?
Oh, yeah, Ryoto Tsukai.
It's the best way to say bisexual.
What does it mean? I need some information because I don't want to look it up. I want you to tell me because this is podcast chemistry.
Because this is an audio format and you looking something up is not entertainment.
So
I mean, it could be. Listen.
Yeah, hold up. Oh, listen to all Dom's typing noises. What could he be lurking for? So I was looking at someone retweeted something that was like how to talk about gender and sexuality in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I was curious, so obviously I clicked through. I actually read the link on Twitter.
Now you're allowed to retweet it.
Now I'm allowed to retweet it. And so I was scrolling through, and even though historically there wasn't necessarily a stigma on same-sex relations in Japan until Western people brought it, a lot of the modern words for various sexualities are katakana ego is loan words.
Okay.
So you might say gay, and it's spelled GEI. But it's that's as opposed to saying a longer word that uses the kanji for same and then gender and then person. But so I was scrolling down and I hit bisexual, and you can say bisexuaru, which is or just bi, BAI, which is boring. But there's also a word Jirototsukai, which means dual wielder, someone who wields 2 swords. And I knew this word beforehand because someone had posted about it on Twitter, and then posted a picture of Thor, Loki, and Hela all wielding 2 swords in Thor Ragnarok. And I was like, yes, this tracks. But
that counts. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. It was everything about Thor Ragnarok, this tracks to me. But yeah, so if I can obviously I'm happy to say bye, whatever, if that's the easier way for people to recognize it. But if I have the opportunity to refer to myself as a dual sword wielder, as opposed to a boring technical sounding word, then I'm absolutely going to identify as Ryoto Tsukai.
That's very cool. I like that. I like that term. I like the idea of that. I wish there were more. Maybe it's not actually like this in those languages because I don't speak any language fluently besides English. But I wish we had some cool more euphemisms for different stuff. It's oh,
As opposed to feeling, is he, and then
the little
the
SpongeBob hand.
Yeah, the SpongeBob hand.
I guess the only thing we have is play for the other team, but that sounds sinister.
Yeah, or door swings both ways.
Yeah, it's a lot of doors swing both ways. Some doors actually slide the other, like, they don't swing
Some
either
doors
way.
are
They
sliding
slide.
doors. Some doors are walls.
And some doors don't open at all.
Some doors are walls. You mean like a door that won't open? No. I mean a wall. Yay. Hey, it's Pride Month.
We brought it back around.
Yeah, and let's rock out. So we have some rock discussion.
Yeah.
To close things out. Do you want to tell us about some rocks, Eric?
Yeah.
Air-rock, E-rock?
So, I guess I'm the only one who ever watches anything anymore, which is funny because it used to be the complete opposite.
Well, I was thinking today, I was like, is DuckTales still airing? I haven't watched an episode in a while, and none of us have talked about it.
I'm gonna look, because I looked, it was at least a 2-week hiatus, so I assume it's still on hiatus. I'll look, but tell us about rocks while I'm librarying the internet.
So I continued to watch the anime called Land of the Lustrous, which is, about character. All the characters are made out of gemstones, which makes it kind of like Steven Universe in a way, but not. And so the only thing I really wanted to kind of bring up about this show this week is it's very good. The animation is very good. The story is very interesting. To give like a little bit more context, it takes place in like a very what is presumed to be a future Earth where humans are gone and they split into 3 separate beings known as
one of them is meat, right?
Yes, it's the bones, the meat, and the soul. And
soup.
And it's instead of meat, they say flesh, but like they use the kanji for meat.
Like Niku,
so like yeah, they use the kanji for Niku, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, that just says meat.
Duolingo has taught me that just says meat.
Yeah, but anyways, and that it's interesting. I haven't gotten to learn a whole lot about like that whole plot going on. It's mainly been the soul people are known as the Lunarians, and they live on the moon. And they're constantly coming down and trying to steal the different gems or like destroy them and bring them back to the moon with them, quote unquote, to be made as jewelry.
Jesus.
But like some of the flesh people who are like sea creatures, like jellyfish and stuff.
Well, I guess a jellyfish doesn't have any bones or a soul. So.
Yeah.
It's all meat.
So the best gag so far in the show was from one of the meat characters or whatever, is a jellyfish, like a kind of like, I don't know how to best put it, but like a very beautiful, like they call themselves king, use male pronouns, but like are definitely female when they go into their actual form. And the character who is interacting with King is like, what are those big things on your chest? And King says,
it's anime.
Yes, and King says, oh, these are my most precious parts. Praise be unto them.
That is how I talk about my boobs.
And I just, like, at first I was like, oh man, like, fucking anime. But then they said that, I was like, okay, that's actually really funny in a way. Because all of the rock people, all of the minerals are, like, agender, and they use they, them. That's all very good and interesting and, like, everything. But I wanted to talk about how that show so far has just become body horror, the show.
Nice.
Because the gems can't die. Like, they're basically brought sentience by microorganisms that live within them. I don't really understand all of that quite yet. But when they like get crushed or destroyed by the Lunarians or like accidents that happen to them, they can be put back together so long as there's enough pieces of them to like do so with. And that just means that every time there's a battle, one of these gems is going to die in a horrific way by getting like their limbs pulled off or like dissolved in acid or something. Like, it's disturbing.
You love to see it.
Yeah, so my recommendation on that show is like, it's interesting. I want people to watch it, but like, just a forewarning, if you are not okay with that kind of content, like, steer clear.
Oof.
Yeah,
I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah, it's, as I said, it's very interesting. I don't know if it had as much popularity as like other shows, because it released in like 2017, I want to say, and I hadn't heard of it until like we just kind of randomly one day sat down and started watching it.
Yeah, so I guess it's probably somewhat not rare, but unknown.
Niche, yeah.
Yeah, niche.
But Either way, interesting show. Watch out for the body horror.
What a closing line.
Yep. That's what can also be said about our podcast.
Interesting show. Watch out for the body horror. Where we talk about how jellyfish are just meat with no bones and no soul.
They're little ghosts. Anything else? I've been trying to learn some Korean on Duolingo. That's fun. Cool app.
My new cat is still being pretty cool. He's still a good boy.
And
very good.
Yeah, I guess we've been watching The Bachelor. They're having rerun seasons that are the greatest of all time seasons, and
they just announced the Black Bachelor.
What'd you say?
They just announced the first Black Bachelor.
They did. That was really, really strange and wild. If this was a Bachelor podcast, there would be a lot more to talk about. The lore of this, because so there was supposed to be a season of The Bachelor airing soonish. They should have been filming it now, but if you recall, the world stopped. So the last piece of content we got was one of their spin-off series, which was surprisingly good. Should have been bad. And then I think we were going to get a season of like their Love Island type show, and we should soon be watching the new Bachelorette season. But again, the world ended. Thing about this new Bachelor they announced, he was supposed to be on that season, so they're like, we're just gonna fast track you to being the next Bachelor instead, which is a weird move. And everyone's like, yo, y'all gotta make a statement, because you really just did this, like, you know what, Black Bachelor, just get him out there.
Yeah, because usually isn't it like someone who didn't win the previous season?
It's from what I've seen, it's either someone who didn't win the previous season or in the past has been on one of the shows. And every now and then they just pull somebody randomly, but I think the fans like to see somebody who didn't win still get a chance. But there's also the theories that people are having is that they didn't think this guy was going to win and just kind of he was just kind of in there to be the Bachelor anyway. Because he's friends with somebody else who was on one of the show, and there's a whole thing. Like I said, there's lore to this. It's a very deep world that I'm quite invested in, completely unironically.
We'll do a deep dive of the lore of The Bachelor as a special episode.
Yeah, Patreon bonus episode.
I'll need to call in reinforcements. My partner knows far more about it than I do. She's the one who introduced me, and I was like, I'll just be a good boyfriend and watch this with her. I'm not excited about it. The first step to doing anything seriously is doing it ironically. That's the one lesson I forgot. So I'm just gonna let's say farewell on that, right?
Yep.
Do we want to do social media business? Who wants to do it?
Take us out, Steph.
I got it.
Steph, do you want to?
Yeah, I can do it. I got this.
Cool.
Cool. I mean, you...
I'm just a guest. I can't.
He can't. He's a guest, and you really nerfed that intro, so... How rude. So if you want to find us on the internet, you can find our podcast at Character Reveal on Twitter by searching for Character Rev. You can find us at Character Reveal on Facebook. You can find you can listen to our podcast in the browser by going to characterreveal.simplecast.fm. You can find us on Instagram at Character Reveal. You can find us in the podcast catcher of your choice by searching for Character Reveal. You'll see those blue curtains. You'll know what's up. If your podcast listener supports it, we always love to get those ratings and reviews in. And if you have any topics you want to hear us talk about, if you have any guests you recommend us bring on the show, anything like that, you can hit us up at characterreveal@gmail.com.
Yeah, please recommend a guest so I can stop being the guest.
That's not how it works. Keep going, Steph.
If you want to find Eric on the internet and tell him that he's a co-host now, you can find him at Tendylosi on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at you can find our podcast at Character, but you can find me at Captain Steph. You can find me on Tumblr at The Snow Queer and on Instagram at Hella Steph, and you can find Dom anywhere on the internet at Brother Dom.
It's super simple.
Yeah, he's got branding. The rest of us have diversity, I guess.
I've just only got the one name.
Oh, yeah. Eric is very consistently Tendylosi, I feel like, but...
Yes. It's just you. Like, I mean, you could find me, I guess, like on the PlayStation Network as Tindy Losi. Good job.
or as Eric from Colossal Con in myself.
In myself.
Yes.
Same. Even though I did not meet him at Colossal Con.
Yeah, which is great, because that way I don't have to dox you if anyone ever steals my phone.
Thank God.
But yeah, listeners, thanks so much for hanging out with us for another episode. It was fun. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Hope you agree that it was fun.
But until next time, see you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Aw, how come you get 2 swords?
Leave that one in.